So today's arrangement isn't going to use any floral foam. Instead, I'm going to use 2 jam jars and this gorgeous basket. If you want to see what I'm going to do, keep watching today's tutorial. So welcome back to today's video. Now I've got a selection of supermarket flowers and florist grade flowers. I have some amazing yellow lilies in the studio. I'm not quite sure why they came in this colour because I ordered white. Don't know if it's my mistake or my wholesaler, but the temperature is obviously very warm here in the UK, so they've opened up really quickly. And I thought it would be an ideal opportunity for me to arrange with them for you today. I wouldn't normally use lilies quite as open as this, but the issue when I'm doing videos is that you don't get to see the end product a few days later when the flowers have opened. So I've decided to do this with open lilies. Remember that if you are using lilies, it's beneficial for you to remove the pollen. The pollen can stain clothing, soft furnishings, it can really damage table linen, and it's unsightly on your lilies. So I would always recommend you remove it. The flower that I'm going to team up with the lily is the Gladioli. Now I've picked these up from a supermarket this morning because I was looking for something that would coordinate with my lilies. So they're a bit shorter than maybe I would normally use, but they're just about right for this basket. And I'm arranging today without floral foam, so these aren't necessarily going to sit in the correct position to start with, but as I add more material to the design, then it's all going to come together really nicely. And I've mentioned that I'm not using floral foam, so what I've got instead is some large jam jars filled with water, but they're slightly too small for the container. You can see in the overhead camera that there's a bit of movement around each jam jar, and if I add in the tall Gladioli, it's going to make the design a bit unstable. So what I'm going to do is to use some of the brown paper. This is what our flowers come wrapped in, and I'm almost going to create a little bit of a collar here around the top, around the neck of that vase. It's going to stop it moving around and hopefully will support the design and keep it well balanced and stable. You can see now it's much better. It's got a much better support than the one on the opposite side. So this could be newspaper, it could be some old wrapping paper that you might have in the house. You might even have a container that fits perfectly into the neck of the basket. But I didn't have one that fitted. They were either too small or too large. This is my remedy to fix that problem. I don't want it to be seen, so I can get rid of that excess. And that now is going to make a far more stable design, and I can start building by adding the elements along as I go. Now my first material that I'm going to place in, and I've already cut these to the length that I want them, really only to speed up the video. This is Papyrus. This is a marginal plant that grows in a pond. You'll be able to buy it in a garden centre. And I'm lucky enough to have a really pretty pond in my garden, and this grows on the edge. And by clustering it together, I've really made a bit of an emphasis to one side of the arrangement. And that in turn will counterbalance the height and the visual weight of my Gladioli. Now, I'm just going to bunch these quite nicely in my hand and place them into my jam jar. And what's going to happen is they're all just going to splay out and fall to the side. And that's because there's nothing that is going to support them and hold them into position. So you can remedy that in 2 different ways. You can either pack this out with some greenery at the bottom so that it gives some support. You could put a sellotape strip over the neck of that jam jar before you start. But what I'm going to do is just use a very small piece of the chicken wire over the top of my container, just so that it gives a little bit of extra support when I put my Gladioli in. And if I create that nice flat platform on the top, that's going to hold my flowers into place and give my design a little bit more stability. Now the reason that I didn't scrunch that up and put it inside the jam jar is because the holes in the wire netting would have been too small and I wouldn't have been able to get in those quite thick stemmed gladioli. So now what I can do is add them in, and they're going to stay apart in a more professional look. Don't worry if they tip back and forwards. That's going to improve with the more material I add in. But I've got that nice open, relaxed shape with the gladioli, and I'm leaving them all at the same height. I'm not cutting them down to make something that's quite formal and quite patterned. I want this design to be quite loose and quite organic. And I'm also going to add in 2 really lovely palms, which are going to give a little bit of a soft, airy look to the arrangement. Remember, if you're arranging straight into water, you need to make sure that the ends are all clear, so we're not contaminating the water and making it look green and slimy and really ugly. I've placed one slightly towards the back and one a little bit towards the front. And as I add more material in there, that's really going to help that design become stable. I'm not thinking about putting a huge amount of flowers in on this side here, because as soon as those gladioli start to open up, it's really going to fill out the design. But it is an ideal shape and style to add in the Arum lilies. Now the Arum lilies are really soft stemmed, so when you're putting them in through the wire netting, be careful that they don't get damaged. You don't want to force them in and split the stems as you're placing them through that wire netting. So at this stage, really take your time. And already with just those few extra flowers, I've got a really stable design because that wire netting is holding everything into place. So I'm going to place the Arum lilies at 3 different heights, just so we've got a bit of a variation and they don't become lost in amongst the gladioli. So that's how the design is coming together so far. Now what I'm going to do on the opposite side to create 2 different levels with the basket is that I'm going to put the lilies really close down, just sitting on top of the edge of my container. They're really open, and the weight of the flower up high I don't think is going to suit the style of the arrangement. So I'm going to compact these down really close. So if you're a beginner, this is going to be a really easy one to do. You're just looking for some lilies. You can buy them from a florist or from your supermarket. 1 bunch would be sufficient, and if you can't get lilies, this could be an alstroemeria or a flower of your choice. And I'm just going to nestle them down in the basket so that we've got 2 different heights. We've got those tall gladioli making a bit of an impression on one side, and then we've got a cluster of the more open lilies towards the bottom. And the lovely texture of that grass can peek through around the lilies to create something that's a bit unusual and quite dramatic. Just going to remove one of these and bring it around towards the front. Now I was thinking this would be fantastic on a buffet table. You might be having a barbecue in the summer and you might want something to adorn one of your outdoor tables. And for a really simple design, I think that's worked particularly well. Now of course I have those florist Arum lilies to add a bit of drama to the arrangement, but that could be another bunch of the alstroemeria. And I'm just going to add in a little bit more greenery with some of the aspidistra here. And if you don't have the tropical greeneries like I've got, just use something that you might have in the garden just to frame those gladioli. And really today's arrangement is a lesson in keeping things quite simple. Choose yourself 2 bunches of flowers that give a contrast in shape and texture, and arrange them on opposite sides of a container to create something that looks a bit unusual and a bit different. Now I hope you've enjoyed that one. That was really fun to make and very quick and easy to do. I hope you find inspiration in it. If you're really enjoying all the tutorials, then please subscribe to the channel because it really does help other people find me. Ask as many questions as you want in the comment box and tell all your friends where to come. Thanks for watching and goodbye for now.